I'll get into explaining presentation karaoke here in a moment, but I'll go ahead and get us started with our slides. So first off, thank you so much to 1010 Brewing. This is their B-side space in Orlando. We've been alternating a DUX between this space, and if you've been to the Framer meetup last month over in Starter Studio, we're bouncing back and forth with Tarek. We've bounced back and forth between Starter Studio and this space, and we knew that when we decided we were going to do presentation karaoke, that it had to be here at 1010 and not in the very like techie, very fancy presentation space, because it's casual, it's a fun event, and we never know who's going to be in town in December. And so we like to do, we've done this for several years before the pandemic and then online during the pandemic, where we host presentation karaoke. And I'll explain more about that in a moment. But it's a fun, casual event where anybody can get up and share and talk about something they're passionate about. And with the slides that pop up on the screen, it ends up being a lot like improv comedy. So it'll be a lot of fun. So thanks again to 1010. It's a perfect venue for this kind of event. But on a more serious note, as we always do with our meetup, we start with our mission. So ever since the very beginning, over 9 years now, Matt? I keep thinking it was 8 or 9 years. We got confused, but it's been a long time. But ever since the very beginning, our mission has been to create opportunities for anyone to learn and share knowledge about the field of user experience. So I've talked to some people who are developers tonight, people who work in sales, people who are trying to get into UX professionals, researchers. There's a whole lot of people from a whole lot of different backgrounds here, and we love that. We love just getting together and talking about the field and what your experience is and learning together. So that's the mission of Downtown Orlando UX, even if we're doing a crazy presentation karaoke event. And as we always say, these events, they wouldn't be possible without a whole team of organizers. Amy Huizinga is here. Matt Abhishek is here as well. Matt Lavoie is on the Zoom. Wes Brown is out at a running event tonight, so he's missing out tonight, but he'll be back for the next one. And then my name is Jason Beard. We're all available on LinkedIn if you have any questions about the field or want to connect. Our LinkedIns are all there. You can find us, or just come ask us afterwards. We'd love to answer any kind of questions that you have, or if you have ideas for future meetups or things you want to see here in the future, we'd love to hear it. And then we always have, I came way too early this week, but a lot of people showed up early and helped tell people to write name tags. That always helps and help people to feel comfortable and feel welcome at the meetup. So we always have a group of people in a planning channel. If you're in the planning channel on Slack, could you raise your hand? I've got a few people who are in the, yep, Joe, Nesto. Yeah, so we always can use more people. So if you're interested in helping us out, give me a shout afterwards, and we'll invite you to. It's just a Slack channel where we talk about meetups that are coming up. If we need help, we usually reach out there to folks. And then we've had this slide on here since we were remote during the pandemic. But if you are online and you're presenting, probably not. If you're not, you can stay off camera if you'd like. But if you're presenting for the presentation karaoke, we'd love you to have your camera on. That would help us. It's so much more fun when we can see your face up here on the screens. And if you want to volunteer to speak, I'm sure Matt will be watching the chat to see if anybody wants to queue up in line to share a presentation karaoke. You can use the raise your hand feature or just jump in the chat there as well. Because this is up here and the people who are looking at it will be presenting, I probably won't be able to monitor the chat very well for this particular meetup, but Matt will be doing that online. So with that, I'll explain a little bit about the presentation karaoke, and then I'll put, I don't know, Matt, would you like to go first this time?
I certainly can, yeah.
All right. Well, like I said, we've been doing presentation karaoke for a long time. The idea is that you get about 2 minutes and the slides change automatically. And there's a random, really random pool of slides. This is actually from a GitHub repo where they have just a ton of really weird images. Some are pictures, some are graphs, some are memes. It's really, really wild what you'll end up with, and you never know what it's going to be. I don't think I've ever seen the same slide. Maybe I've seen the same slide twice over the last few years. We've been using the same repo for all of it. But the whole reason why we do this is because in working in UX, a lot of times you're talking to stakeholders, you're talking to people who aren't familiar with the product or the project you're working on. You've got to explain things in terms people can understand. And people ask questions that you're not anticipating. Same thing happens with research. You got to be able to think on your feet. And so a lot of people do improv comedy and other things to prepare for those kind of roles where they're customer facing or working with stakeholders or having to present. And so this is just a little bit of practice for that. And it's also just a ton of fun. You'll see when we get into it. With that, Matt, do you have anything else about presentation karaoke that you'd like to share before I switch over to that?
No, Jason, I think you did a great summary. And yeah, I love this tradition, so I'm excited that we're back with it this year.
All right, so the way this is going to work is that this is the GitHub repo of presentation karaoke that we have. It's like an app thing that we use. So we've got a bunch of UX and design related topics that are loaded in here. So you can either decide that I just want a random UX and design topic, and it'll give you one if you're really brave. Or you can say, I have a topic I want to talk about. I want to get up here and I want to talk about Pokemon Go. And so we can just type that in there, and then you get to present, or you could just press go. But Matt, are you going to spin the dial and go with one of these related topics, or do you have something that you want to share about?
I think, I mean, I'm open to present on whatever, but I think it might be fun to do a presentation on why you should speak at a meetup. But you can just do the UX and design, and I'll just ignore the topic. Like that's also great, because that way it'll kind of avoid. All right, perfect.
Why you should speak specifically at the UX, right? All right,
Yeah, yeah. Or any
we
meetup
rely
that
heavily
if
on
you're a
finding
dev
people that
and
are willing to speak. All right, I'm gonna go and walk away from the computer here and let Matt present. Actually, I'll stand back here so I can make sure that I can take care of anything that pops up. And it'll give you, the way this works is when I hit play, you get like a 3, 2, 1 countdown. And that's when you start your talk, is when the first slide pops up. And like I said, you have about 2 minutes. So here we go.
all right. Hi, everybody. My name is Matt Lavoie, and just like this kid running from the dinosaurs, I decided to keep my distance from you all tonight because I just got over the flu and I don't want to spread anything this holiday season except for cheer. So happy to be able to be here with you all remotely. Today, I wanted to talk about why you should speak at a meetup. So we're living in exponential times. And what that means is that you have these opportunities to have experiences that can dramatically change the trajectory of your knowledge, learning, and career. And so one of those opportunities is speaking at a meetup because it's going to challenge you and bring you into a space where you're going to start learning about things that you wouldn't have otherwise known. Right? You need to get into those trenches, feel the paintball welts on your skin of real experience before you can be more comfortable with a topic. So you may think you know about, user research or, think aloud studies. But until you're actually experiencing that in person, doing the research, studying, reading articles, learning about it, getting out on the court, you might not actually have the breadth of knowledge that you think that you have. So speaking at a meetup is a great way to challenge yourself to really dig into a topic, learn it way better than you may think that you could, because when you teach, you have to first learn. And when you do that, then you can come join us at the meetup, present your topic, and then afterwards we'll all celebrate together with a nice social UX gathering. And cheers to you, and thank you for bringing that knowledge to our community. So I think this may be my last slide. So with that, I'll say, please consider speaking at the meetup. We would love to have you. And I think that's it.
I, I, I don't know how you do it, Matt. It's always so good how you incorporate some little word that's not exactly what's in the slide into the topic. So with that, does anybody else want to jump up on stage and try to do kind of what Matt did, but with their own style? All right, Chase is up.
how do I see it when I'm talking?
Right here. We can get it behind. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Hi, Matt.
Oh, I can see it.
Oh my gosh.
I can see you.
I think,
Hi.
hey, how are you?
I'm so bummed I'm not there in person. It's good to see you.
All right, when do I
Right
go?
there?
Yeah, I'm great. Hello, my name is Chase Trammell, and I will never know true happiness until you have truly loved, and I will never understand what pain really is until I've lost it. Now, this is a really great segue into my topic, which is storytelling. Now, love is a story, right? We have this narrative, both interpersonal and cultural, about what love is. Now, another great narrative, Star Trek. And you've never known love until you've been Star Trek: The Next Generation. What is most important about these narratives is that grammar, word choice, all of these elements don't matter. We can connect on a narrative level, right? We can tell a story with pantomime. We can tell a story with facial expressions. We can tell a story with iconography that is universal. Now, what's more universal than project management? But again, a project can be seen as a narrative that has certain elements, many pixelated people and roles. Speaking of universal storytelling, right? We can derive understanding from this imagery without words. Let's bask in it for a moment. Truly touching. Thank you.
Awesome job, Chase. All right, who's next? Oh. Oh, okay. Nope. Don't.
Good evening, everyone. I want to talk about the importance of qualitative research within the UX space outside of the context of proper UX research. So qualitative research principles as you navigate your day-to-day. I hope you like it. Okay. Who knows how many searches are performed on Google each month? Amy. That's great. It's amazing quantitative data, but it tells you shit about what your customers, your programmers, or your project managers are thinking. You know, Google numbers are fine, they're fun, they're sexy, but they don't really explain the why behind the how that you really want to try to solve as a researcher or as a designer. Okay? This like 3D rendering of some bullshit that I don't understand can tell you a little bit more, perhaps, about the throat and the negative energy when you don't do qualitative research, because you're going to be stressed out, right? You're going to be looking at numbers and like, what the fuck does that mean? It's like a lot of people like this, a lot of people don't like this. But if you don't sit down and speak with your stakeholders and see how they're framing the issues from the perspective that matters to them, then you're just going to be stuck with some diagram of sorts. It's kind of like the stuff that Matt works on NASA, I gather. I couldn't begin to elicit information of value from Matt from a questionnaire, but if I were to sit down and have him tell me a story, right, Chase, he could tell me that through qualitative research. See where I'm going? And finally, this lady has got herself in this incredible tangle of a mess because she wasn't listening to her stakeholders. She was just like shipping out standardized questionnaires, and she's like, oh yeah, one size fits all, blah, 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 metrics, KPIs. but not once did she start to think about the how and the why that she could have with some qualitative research. And now she's in this like holiday mess of a tangled wardrobe, and we can all do much more. So lift weights, kettlebells are good, and listen to your folks at UX, at home. When you're driving, listen to the police officers directing traffic. Otherwise, you'll get into a crash. Thank you. I hope. Thank you.
Great job, Ernesto. All right, is there anybody online that would like to present? I'm not going to pick on anybody in particular who's done a really good presentation in the past, but
I'm warming up to it, warming up
All
my
right.
voice right
we'll
now.
give a few rounds for you, Selena. Anybody else in person would like to present? All right.
Just pick a random one. We can go with it.
UX related?
Is there like, what's kitchen sink? Yeah, let's do kitchen sink. Oh, empowerment. Ooh, okay, nice. Well, before the presentation starts, I just want to quickly introduce myself. My name is Herman Salazar. It's spelled like German. And today I'll talk about empowerment. And one of the things that I learned just a couple of weeks ago, when I started working on my public speaking, was that I was going to these events to learn to do public speaking, but I was staying behind the sidelines and just watching everything happen. And so one person came over to me and he was like, "Hey, like, did you come here to learn or to just watch?" And I was like, "No, I guess I came here to learn." So to put it in another way, what he was trying to tell me was that I was not doing a good job of learning. What he was telling me is that in order to learn, you have to put yourself out there to feel like you're actually learning something and feel empowered. And so because of that, before today, I was like, you know what, maybe in order to feel a little bit more comfortable, I'm gonna go down to the other door. Instead of this B side, I'm gonna go to the other A side, I guess, and maybe grab a little bit of a beer and get a little bit more comfortable. People don't really recommend that to like get that liquid courage. But like, as you can see with those lab rats, it seemed like to work with them. And I guess at the end of the day, when you really think about it, we're all gonna die. And so you might as well do something that scares you, that puts you out there, and just try. Because otherwise, what's the point of living if you're gonna be afraid of I don't know, messing up or making a fool out of yourself? But one of the things that I've really learned about empowerment is that it's not about work, it's not about heretics, it's not about leaders, it's not about organizations. It's really about people. Okay, and it's the people you surround yourself with that really matters. So with that, thank you so much.
Thanks for coming to Herman's TED Talk. All right, who's next? All right, Joe.
Accessibility. That sounds interesting. All right, guys, everybody likes accessibility, right? It's fun. It's accessible, possibly. So, accessibility is all about wearing pants. And if you're not wearing pants, you're just not accessible socially. It can be a problem. You can't talk to people. And pants are an important part of social stuff. But what does it all mean? This is the answer today. It's not about pants. It's about how you feel in your pants. Pants are great. Some people wear dresses. Dresses are good. You can flex, you can move, you can make a touchdown. But still, what does it mean? It's not all about pants. It's about accessibility. And even the little colors. We like different colored pants that are accessible to us. You can buy them anywhere, even at TJ Maxx. But without the right pants, it can be fashion death. It could feel so bad. It could feel horrible. It could be like Halloween every day. You can dress goth, that's cool. But is that accessible? Do you want to meet the right people you want to meet? But as you know, accessibility isn't really that bananas of a concept. It's like what fits you, right? It's like it's got to be good. It's got to be really good. I mean, these bananas, they're like bananas in pajamas. They're waiting to come out and communicate with everybody. They have to talk. They want to hang out with the rest of the fruits, like fruit on the loom that's behind the pants, like this person here with a colored, striped, accessible, yeah, they're those. And they're warm, you know, they're put them in the dryer, Febreze, you know, whatever. Maybe they smell good. I don't know. But thank you.
Awesome job, Joe. Another good one. All right, anybody else online before we move on to the next person? Anybody in person want to go next? All right. Woo.
Let's do. Oh, you can't. Oh, interesting. Okay. You can do research democratization. You can just do. Okay. That's cool. That works. Okay. Oh gosh. Hi everyone, I'm Caitlin, and normally I work in UXR. So how many times have you been designing something and you've been like, man, I'm so happy with how this has turned out, but I have some real reservations. I'm not sure if this thing will actually be used by people. And you're like, man, if only I could continue my thoughts about this, if only I knew what my users thought. How many of you have been in that situation? Yeah, right? And how many of you wished, man, if only I had a UX researcher, if only I had not one, not 5, not 10, not 50, not 100 coins worth of UX researchers on your team. If only I could have one of those, I could know the answers to these questions. How many of you have thought that? Right, well, I am here to tell you today that you don't need a specialized UX researcher on your team in order to figure that out. You don't have to feel the weight of the expectations of your stakeholders and your users. You don't have to feel so about it. You can do your own UX research because you can employ the principles of UX research democratization, which is a really fancy way of saying applying the best practices of doing research and forming good questions and talking to your users in a way that really works. And you might be thinking, well, time out, Caitlin. I'm not a researcher. I don't know how to ask good questions. False. How many of you have been in a conversation? I bet you guys better all be putting your hands up. You have all had conversations. You have all been doing it today. Exactly. You know how to ask questions. Sometimes you don't think about it though, right? Sometimes we're like, man, conversations are kind of hard. Like, how do you know what to say next? A friend of mine talked to me a few years ago. Actually, well, he talked to me a few years ago. He also talked to me recently. And he said, kind of more like that first smiley face on there. He said, you know, a conversation is just saying something that reminds you of what the person just said. And so if you could do that when you're asking questions of your customers in UX research, you too can democratize research. Thank you very much.
Amazing job, amazing job. All right, who's next? Thought that was a hand, but it was just. All right. Nope. Somebody. Right over it. Hey, Logan.
Been to one of these before. Let's do, I'm more in instructional design area, but let's do user motivation. Motivation, there we go. All right. Hi, y'all. I'm Logan. This is my first time coming to one of these, but as I said, I'm more in product manager and instructional design. And sometimes when we have our users tasks to do, they look at what you're giving them, and it just seems like so much that they need to accomplish, right? They have a goal, and you have the product that can get them to that end goal, but they aren't thinking of the steps in between. You have to show them the steps in between, and they might not have the motivation to do the steps in the machine, steps in between. They feel like just a cog in the machine, right? They don't know where you're asking them to go. So in order to motivate them, it's really about two factors. It's really about, do they believe that what you're asking them to do will get them to their goal? And do they believe that they are capable of reaching that goal? That is the skeleton around which you have to base your product design. Encouraging them, number one, making them feel like, yes, I can do this. So sometimes that means giving them tasks that aren't directly the most point A to point B to get them to where they need to go, but to instead speak to them as a human and say, yes, you can do this, right? We've all had those moments of self-doubt where we feel like just curling up in a corner, especially when we're in a long-term project. So we need to make sure we're addressing that with our users. The other thing we need to address is making sure they believe in the product we're giving them. And obviously, if they're enrolling, they're making a purchase, they're joining us, at some point they believe, but motivation goes up and down, right? They may or may not believe different parts. So we have to encourage them, don't panic, take one step at a time, and be constantly telling them, yes, this is the right next step, and here's why, making sure that they know where they're supposed to, and they know that you have got their back as a designer. So I believe that's the end of my time. Thank you. Have a good night.
Great timing. Good job. Do you want to go next? Woo. Down here.
Let's do job hunting for UX. All right. Hello, everybody. Today, we are going to talk about job hunting for UX roles. So sometimes it may seem like you're going around in circles, around a track, trying to find your next best role. Well, I'm here today to tell you the best way to get there. And I'm going to tell you that in 10 more seconds. Well, first, I want you to think to yourself, what do you think the next best step is? Now, this is you writing a resume. You may be thinking, I do not want to write this one more time. I'm going to eat this piece of paper. How is anybody going to read this? How are they going to get what I'm trying to sell? Well, one of the things that you can do is to make a diagram. Much like the bones in our body, the bones of your resume talk to your prior experience, the education you have that bridges the gaps between what you have done and what you want to do. This makes it very easy for recruiters to understand what you're trying to accomplish in your next step and that you're capable of doing the job. And what you really want is a thumbs up. You want to move to the next round. You want to be able to showcase yourself to the hiring managers. And one of the best ways to do that is to make sure that your portfolio is up to date. So some of the best ways to make sure you're getting a good portfolio review in would be to just really burn it to the ground. Start from scratch. Make sure you get opinions from all of your friends, all of your colleagues. Make sure that they are tearing it up so that you can build it back up better and that you can then showcase your UX abilities to get your next design role. And that's my time. Thank you.
Wow, these have all been so good. All right, we had a few in person. Anybody else online like to jump in?
I mean, I guess I could.
All right, Selena.
I feel like there's too much pressure on me, and I like
All
gotta
right,
up myself
what's your
every
top,
time.
Selena?
All right, I had an argument today, so I feel like I should why a DC universe has failed and how can Batman save it? Just DC, I guess. Yeah. All right. So just want to say, Selena, when's the last time you had fun while watching a DC movie? I mean, did Suicide Squad truly make you smile? No, it's like you wanted to yak like these two lambs in the movie theater. You were disgusted. You felt nothing. And at times it can just hard to feel. You just feel like a leaving blah or nah here. Um, and each of these films, they have their own slew of properties that are terrible. And it's really you don't want to touch it, but your friends like you gotta watch it. You're like, all right, it's like a trap. You're like, I'm hoping something good is gonna happen. I might get some cheese out of this, get some cheddar, but you're not. Because DC continues to jam the same characters down our throats. And it's really hard to build this universe. So it's kind of confusing. Unlike this organization here, the MC universe is pretty organized, the part one. But unlike now, it's a little bit everywhere because there's lack of direction. There's no one director to kind of oversees and puts all the characters in their little place and then has all the chemistry to be wired up together. Yeah, it could be terrible and you want more from it. You're like, where's Batman? Like Batman, save it. And Batman's like, yes, I can, but I don't. And he's just gonna make the remix revise of his original story and continue to make money. And he's just gonna jam with that forever. So other than that, yeah, what is the leadership? It's not Batman, he doesn't care. But maybe we should just swap the whole thing and get more leadership or just one leadership, one director, a better director, a different director that kind of just oversees it. And we can probably have a film that has aesthetic cohesion, chemistry, and that's it. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Selena. That was great. All right, anybody else in person want to jump in? Amy's up.
I'm gonna do agile roulette. See what happens. Oh, delighting your customer. That's not something I usually do as a scrum master. So see what happens. Oh, yeah, yeah, let's do a different one. I'm like, I liked the other one better. Sure. All right. Well, I am Amy Heisinger, and I'm gonna start with a lot of times customers are not delighted. We spend tons and tons of time, tons of money, tons of effort on making things, about doing stuff. And it's because, oh, we're going on this big initiative, we're doing things. But when it finally gets to the customer, that's not what they wanted. That's not what they needed. They are not delighted. In fact, they're frustrated. This isn't anything that's helping their lives or making it better, which then frustrates the team, frustrates everyone. Because we are starting on a journey. We want to get to a place and we want to go on that journey with our customers. We want to start at a place together and we want to have this journey, a customer journey, if you will, that will end in the delight of the customers. We need to board the plane all together and we need to know where we're going. We need a goal, we need a direction. And apparently that's going to be China. We're going to head there because most of our computer chips were made there and we're using that. So why not have that be the place that we're going to go? Because apparently they speak English, so we'll be able to communicate and it will be a delight. And I would like this one to be over because that was confusing. Everyone has a lot of tools in our tool belt. We've got many different people that are working on delighting a customer. You have business people who are coming up with great ideas. We have UX researchers. We have different people that are talking to customers, trying to figure out how they'll be delighted. We have developers that are trying to figure out what is the best way to take this thing that we want to make, this why we're doing things, this goal we're reaching towards, and how do we make that the best it can be? And then how do we tear it all apart to its root form and then put it all together, but say, hey, we might not need this fancy car because a tricycle will do. And a tricycle will delight and amaze, because what kid riding a tricycle doesn't like it? However, an adult is going to get banged up shins, and that's not a delight. Thank you.
All right, great job, Amy. I'll pause right there for a minute. Like, does anybody see how this can be useful in your day-to-day when talking to people in a conference room or talking to customers and they give you feedback you weren't expecting? Is it giving you any ideas about how you can be more creative with the feedback that you get? That's the goal. So like, just to be able to ad lib, ad lib as you go.
Yeah,
Bullshit
I
a
think
little
it's,
bit, but
oh,
all right, go ahead, Matt.
I was gonna say, I think it's really interesting. Just like you can see, there's some really good connections where you can take kind of a prompt or a bit of information that's being fed to you through these random slides and feed it in. Like there's one in particular that I noted in the chat. What was it? It was when we went to like a gravestone, to that translating to being brave. And I was just like, yeah, that's like, I would not have connected that way in my brain. And that was like a really cool way to kind of take that in a direction. Um, I don't know, did anybody else notice anything that was like, oh, kind of insights from either speaking or seeing people talk?
I thought sometimes it was really masterful to like when Chase like read the screen and then transition from that. And then sometimes it's great to hear something that's not exactly what's on screen, but relates to it enough to make everybody laugh in the room. It's always really fun to watch how people incorporate what pops up on screen. Anybody else see anything that they really liked?
I don't know, guilds, tribes, and squads look great.
Hello? Okay, wait, before we click the start button, I just want to preface and introduce myself. I'm going to be talking about design thinking because I am an aspiring UX UI designer, like a product designer. So when you start dabbling in the world of UI UX, one of the very first things you learn is design thinking. And so that's the topic that I will be sharing with you today. So there's 5 stages in design thinking. Stage number 1 is to empathize. This means getting to know your user. It could be anybody, but generically just understanding them and knowing what their problem could be, right? They could be any color shirt, any type of hair. And then the next step is to define your problem. So sharks, they know what they want. They go straight towards their goal, which is, you know, your legs swimming in the ocean or some fresh body of blood. But they have a very definitive goal about where they're heading. So the third step in the design thinking process is to just, there are no straws that will break the camel's back, because you can go ahead and just ideate as many ideas as you can possibly think of. That camel is ready to hold your back and to just make sure that all your ideas are held and supported. And the 4th stage is to prototype. So this means making sure that you have something tangible to show people, and that might be a little bit a little bit straining, because And the last step is to test your ideas, just like chemists. Chemists test all their ideas and make sure all of their initial products are set in stone so that when you start mixing everything together, it creates one amazing chemical reaction. Thank you very much.
Great job, Phoenix. All right, go back again. All right, would anyone else online like to go? Awkward pause. And while we're kind of, especially while we're transitioning and stuff, if anybody wants to go get a drink and come back or needs to go to the restroom, this is casual. You don't have to stay like it's kind of like somebody's on a mic at a bar. You can go and hang out and stuff. So it's an entertaining casual time. Would anybody else like to go next?
Jason, are you gonna go?
I will. I was kind of waiting for the moment when there was no volunteers. Maybe that will be the whole night. I think I've been thinking about potential topics I could talk about, and I think I might just change this thinking here to vision. That's something I've been thinking a lot about as we get towards the end of the year. So that the concept of design vision. So my name's Jason Beard, and I work in space, cyberspace. I work on the internet. And one of the things that's interesting about working in the UX field is that a lot of times when you're first getting started at a new company or in a new industry, there's a whole lot of learning that has to happen. You learn about who the user is, what problems you're trying to solve. And as you're about to see, those problems, they're frustrating in nature. I think we've already seen this slide. At least we've definitely seen Picard. But it can be very frustrating. It feels like you're banging your head against the wall, trying to solve very tactical, specific problems. And as you work on each problem over and over again, you get to know who the users are. You get to know what things you cut from a feature in the past that you wanted to do, you didn't get to. And one out of every 4 workers has been working for a company for less than 1 year. And once you've been in a company for a little more than a year, you start to develop a vision for where you want to go with the product. You start to see the missed opportunities that you can go after, and you start to build feature upon feature to see how to get to be Matt Lavoie. And have a true vision for the direction you're going, and have some, very particular fancy ideas for what you like to do. And those are not going to be in scope for your team. They're going to tell you those ideas are crazy. We're not going to be able to get the sales team to get on board with those ideas. But you can work on very incremental aliens. So you want to get to aliens, you got to get to, we got to get to space first. And then once we get to space, we got to get, from the moon to Mars. One project builds on another until you can kind of see the future in your mind of all these different pieces coming together. And so that is how you get to design vision. This is harder than it looks. Some people make it look really easy. All right, who wants to go next? Oh, we got a volunteer. I'm impressed. We haven't had a single double present yet, but I'm sure we will before the end of the night. There you go, David.
Oh my God. Oh, okay, nice. Let's get that. Design thinking. Okay, yeah. All right. Hey guys, my name is David. I work in front end. Oh, so sometimes you need to think of how you're gonna design things. Everyone needs a fresh cup of coffee to get the brain going. It can kind of spur some ideas and get some things flowing. So it's always good to always have that little energy drink to keep you boosted up. And who can't do with 12 cups of Starbucks coffee? But sometimes you just need to have a little freedom and go and explore what sail the seas and see where it can take you. Sometimes when you're thinking about your design, you just need to kind of explore all possibilities. But sometimes you need a different point of view. You need to look at things from like an eagle-eye perspective and see what other things that you need to think about for what you're trying to promote, especially when it comes down to who your target audience is and how they might see it. But sometimes you just need to bury it in the ground if it's a bad idea. And you never know, you might find something else different in the sand that can kind of spur your design to different possibilities and give you other opportunities to make it a little bit better. And you just got to love what you do. And you have to love what you are designing and be interested in the success of it. So sometimes you just got to devote yourself and believe in what you are creating for your client. And thanks.
Great job, David. Awesome, awesome. All right, it is 8 o'clock, so I think we're probably trying to go to 8:15. So we got time for maybe 3 or 4 more, and then we'll switch to more social time. Would anybody else like to go? No volunteers online? Awkward silence. All right, Abhishek is up.
Hey everyone, I'm Abhishek. Would one of you like to suggest a topic that I should speak on? Anybody? I don't. I don't know. Let's see. Let's maybe one more. Okay, we can talk. So I'm here to talk about design systems, so the systems we use to design. Why do we build design systems? Well, a lot of people got the job design technologist and we need them, but risk is why we really want to build design systems. We want to make it faster for people to ship products. We want to avoid, reduce, and transfer all the knowledge between 300 people. And so we want to make sure the systems are scalable and valuable. Now, without a design system, this is where drinking a glass of wine could feel like, right? So the bottle's the same for everybody, but the glass that the developer needs to implement is different based on the sizes that they're drinking from. So building a design system will make sure everybody can get the same shaped glass on every implementation, which is good, like saves the company more money. That's kind of what I was getting to, but the slide got there first. So it's not just dollars, euros, or the third currency that you can Google. It's all of the monies. It saves all of the monies for everybody, makes it more efficient, also gets us to where we want to go faster, which is value for customers, but money, really money. Money's first. Now, without a design system for your startup and you're sort of taking this freight train that looks like Snowpiercer under the ocean, which is, the movie was very fun, but this is not fun. This is so not fun. So when you build design systems, you can go up on the road and not be sunken to the bottom of the ocean. Although somebody talked about sharks earlier, so you can find them here as well. But ultimately, none of us want to fail. Failing can be brutal, deadly, and fatal, like this poor creature. One of the reasons design systems allows us not to fail is because we can ship more products and customers might like one of those and pay us monies from the third slide. But thank you everybody.
Great job, Abby. Your company. All right, we'll go back. Oh, we got another one here. All right, Jamal, what would you like to talk about?
Best nuts for a meeting. Hi, I'm Jamal. I've never held a job in tech. Well, not a desk job anyway. I've worked at Apple and Monzo and really cool stuff, but I've never worked at a desk job. But I do know best snacks for a meeting. I know you saw me and you thought, well, that guy had to add some facts in his life. So the first thing you need to know about best snacks for a meeting, people want to eat. People are hungry. They need to be well fed because they want to leave that meeting. They want to leave that meeting feeling huge, as an elephant, as a rhinoceros, whatever this thing is. That's what you want to feel like, because you don't really want to eat the packed lunch that you brought with you that day. So you got to think about a few things. Do you want sweet? Do you want savory? You definitely don't want anything too loud. You can get all of these things right here at Dollar Tree for $1.25, the $1.25 tree each. And that's great. So it will help the project management team because they will be like, it fits in the budget, and the financial advisors, everybody will be okay with it. But you really just don't want anything too loud. You'd want sweets, you want savories. Maybe cool it on the dairy. Go a bit easy on that. Chocolates are always good, but you don't want to go for the milkshakes. Just leave those aside, leave them outside. It's kind of like the bar, like leave it for after. Especially if it's a closed door meeting. Let's see. Don't ask people to make too many decisions when they're eating snacks. You don't want to be like putting mental models together in your head. Really, what they're there for in a meeting is to just pass the time until their next meeting that also could have been an email. The purpose of the snacks is to bring people in and not send them away or make them confused. You just need the participation points so that you can tick the boxes for whoever you need in QA and QC and keep it moving. And completing the puzzle of success. That's my story. Thank you.
Masterful job on snacks. All right, we need another great topic. Like 8:08, we'll give it a few more minutes. We haven't had a single double speaker yet, so, and we still haven't. All right.
Hello, I'm Brandon, and I'm going to be giving a talk on, I don't know, hit the shuffle button. Design specs. Sure. All right. We all know design is a complicated process. We got to really distill what we want for our users. And sometimes we have to distill that for developers as well. I'm a developer. So we really need to understand, what is the essence of what we're trying to give? And a spec brings us closer. It's a common language that we can use to describe what we have in our heads to these people. And sometimes these people, I'm saying that I'm not one of those people, developers and other people who need to implement our ideas. Sometimes our ideas are kind of fuzzy, right? Sometimes it's blurry, like you're navigating the world without glasses. If you need glasses, I don't need glasses. So I don't know what that's like, but I'm just assuming that it's pretty blurry. And design specs will help you get you to focus on what matters. And sometimes it feels like, whatever. I know the design in my head. Why bother make a design spec? It doesn't make a difference, but specs make a lot of sense. Even if you know what you want, the process of speccing it out can really help solidify your own thinking, to be rigorous in what you really mean. A famous quote from a slideshow that I just recently discovered is, in order to solve problems, we don't even know our problems yet. That's a statement. I'm not really sure how to phrase, how to inflect that, but design specs are a way to solve these problems that we don't even know about. And yeah, it's boring. It's a snooze fest. I'm yawning over here. Writing specs, it's not fun. But you know what? In the process of doing this and really writing down and formalizing the things that we have in our minds, we can get to an experience that's really exciting that busts all those yawns. Thank you very much.
Awesome job. All right, who'd like to go next? Who hasn't gone yet? Because I feel like we've been on a roll of lonely people. Putting people on the spot. Anybody online? We haven't had too many people online. Selena's gone, Matt's gone. Oh, we got a volunteer. Suki, what would you like to talk about?
Talk about user flow. Hey everyone, my name is Suki. Let's talk about user flow. So, for user flow, it'll help us to meet our scope goals and cost goals and time goals. And if we don't make a user flow first, it will be out of scope and it's going to cost us more time, and that will not make our clients happy, our stakeholders happy, and then is that Mount Fuji? Can't tell. But if we don't make our flows work, it's going to become a problem. It's going to build up while we're designing, and towards the end, if we don't look back at our user flow, if it doesn't flow well, it's going to explode. But it hasn't exploded yet. So to prevent that, we need a user flow without going kapow. Waiting for the next slide. But yeah, user flows are really important. Without user flow, it will not. With a user flow, it can give developers a heads up on how the system works. It'll give a big picture to the stakeholders. What pages that we're going to be designing for, how many pages we're going to be designing, and if we don't have a user flow, we're running into the risk of getting a bite from a stakeholder if we're just designing whatever we want, whatever our design vision was, and look at that adorable seal, guys. We all hunger for having our design designed out real quickly and looking really pretty and cute. But, at the end of the day, we need to, reflect back to see, are we meeting our goals, based on our user flow? Okay, thank you.
Awesome job, Suki. Great job. These have all been so good. A few people asked me before, are we recording tonight? By show of hands, is anybody opposed to us posting the recording on YouTube? It's been so good. No, all right, we'll post it. And now that we know that we're going to post it, is anybody else online want to share? Or in person? All right. Sounds good. All right, Chase is gonna come up and close this out, and then we'll do our closing slides.
Test driven development. This puts pressure on. Okay. Hi, I'm Chase. My name hasn't changed since the last time I presented. Man, the Reaper's coming for us all. And if you don't keep that in mind, it's important to design for failure and fail faster. We sometimes think of designing as something beautiful, something naturalistic even. But oftentimes we have these external pressures on us. Something that can help with designing is still the same picture, is designing tests, unit tests especially, but tests that will help your development find its rhythm.
Yeah, let's just bask in that one. Now, Uncle Bob once said that 100% of your code should be tested before it's live. And I say, I'm gonna be stranded on the side of the road if that's the case. Now, optimally, we will have, oh, I'm not in the picture. Optimally, we will test all of our code before it hits prod. But is that practical? Is that as practical as a telephone on the side of the road? Squirrel might live in that telephone booth. I don't want to use that telephone. Ultimately, testing our code helps us be responsible for what we're pushing to production. And responsibility is important.
Responsibility is important, very important. All right, that was really fun. Thank you, everybody. That was a lot of great presentations. So I'm just gonna keep. Oh no, I'll do a slideshow. So thank you again, everybody. Usually the slides for the presenter are saying thank you to Tarek last week, but thank you everybody. We had so many great presentations this week. It was a whole lot of fun. Thanks for being brave and getting up and taking the microphone that's in the slide here.